Now, as Russia intensifies its attack on Ukraine, it's now time to see some of those haunting images that has convulsed the whole wide world. Here are 3 people who were killed, 5 wounded after shelling caused a fire at a market area in eastern Ukrainian city of Kharkiv. These images on your screens here show the extent of destruction after heavy shelling by Russian troops. You can see fire all over, plumes of smoke and charred vehicles from this war-torn zone. Russian occupiers have shelled a school in Kharkiv. You can see the damaged school building and a series of damaged cars. There is no sign of human life. Trees there that have been completely uprooted, piles of rubble, scattered lumps of concrete left behind after the attack. And moment of horror caught on cameras. Images on your screens here show heavy shelling by Russian forces in Kharkiv late last night. Russian shelling and bombing led to multiple explosions in Kharkiv. Several buildings and vehicles were destroyed in this attack. Ukraine continues to fight back. On your screens here is wrecked parts of a crashed Russian aircraft which was shot down by the Ukrainian troops in Mykolaiv. No confirmations of belongings of the pilot as yet. And devastating scenes coming at the last hospital in Mariupol, the port city. The lone hospital standing as all others have been bombed out by Russia. You can see bodies that have been piled up all over the place. The dead includes large numbers of infants and women. Russian troops dropped a powerful bomb on a theater in the encircled Ukrainian port city of Mariupol. According to reports, more than 1,000 people, including women and children, were taking shelter at that time. It's unfortunate. No exact number of casualties has been reported yet, but this footage here on your screen shows the destruction of that theater once after it was bombed.
Вот, блядь, смотрите, пидорасы, блядь.
Overnight shelling wreaks havoc in Kharkiv. Images on your screens here show you moments when city was attacked by Russian forces. You can see buildings and shops on fire. Huge plumes of smoke can also be seen coming from those destroyed buildings. And the Ukrainian media has now released a video on Wednesday claiming Russian troops opened fire on people who were standing in line for bread in the Ukrainian city of Chernihiv. The video on your screens here shows dead bodies lying on the ground. Ukraine's media has claimed that at least 10 people were killed in this incident. India today, independently, have not been able to verify this video. The Russian Defense Ministry released a video on Wednesday. It shows armored vehicles, tanks and other military equipment, including foreign-made anti-tank rocket launchers, allegedly captured by Russian troops. And these images are from the capital city of Kiev. Ukrainians getting rescued after Russian troops attacked at a residential area. According to reports, 1 person has been killed in the attacks. 3 of them have been injured. Emergency service departments right now trying to manage and evacuate at least 30 people from that building that has now come under constant shelling by Russian forces. Russian Defense Ministry has shared a video of an airstrike on a Ukrainian missile and artillery warehouse on Wednesday. And according to Moscow, the airstrike was carried out by a high-precision missile system of the Russian armed forces. Now, the warehouse was completely destroyed, and this aerial view shows the extent of damage. Non-stop shelling has completely devastated separatist-controlled town Makayivka in Ukraine. Visuals on your screens here shows the aftermath of attacks, damaged cars, destroyed vehicles, broken windows. Life there has come to a complete standstill. And this video on your screens has been released by Ukrainian forces. It shows broken and abandoned equipment of Russian forces in Kiev suburbs, Bucha. Ukraine has now claimed that Russian troops used residential buildings as shelters. And the visuals on your screens here are from the capital city of Kiev. where 21 babies born to surrogates are kept safe in a basement. Nurses are taking care of those babies because fighting has now made this nearly impossible for parents of these babies to reach them, from toddlers to children to elderly people. War really has spared no one. And Russia continues to target civilians. The image on your screens here is from Mariupol. You can see a Russian tank firing at a civilian. And according to reports, invaders have pounded on residential areas of the besieged city. Another horrific video exposes Russia. Image on your screens showing invaders shooting down a civilian who raised his hands up while trying to flee the capital city of Kiev. Reports claim the man was trying to evacuate the war-torn country before Russian troops mercilessly killed him. And Ukraine has released a video of attacking Russian forces from an armored vehicle. The video on your screens here shows Russian armored personnel carrier and forces being fired at from the vehicle, as it's seen on a monitor inside that vehicle. And Russian Defense Ministry has now released a video on Tuesday. The clip showing Russian soldiers inspecting and collecting weapons allegedly taken from Ukrainian forces. Russia says weapons were captured in the capital city of Kiev. Weapons factory in Kiev was heavily damaged in a Russian attack. The video on your screens here shows heavily damaged factory. Outside that factory, shopkeepers and helpers were seen sweeping glass and other debris from the impact of these explosions. And to understand the gravity of the Ukraine war, just look at these visuals on your screens. A couple there seen crying after their building was bombed by Russian forces, completely devastated as an uncertain future looms large over civilians who are desperate to find a safe space. And over 3 weeks into the war, frustrated and furious, Putin has now started bombing residential buildings in Kiev. At least 3 people were killed in the attack, while dozens of civilians have now been injured. And a footage released by Ukrainian military shows the aftermath of Russian strikes on Oktyrka, the city of Ukraine. Video there shows how a residential building was turned into rubble after non-stop bombardment from Russian forces. And Russian Defense Ministry has released a video on Tuesday to show destroyed and abandoned military vehicles in Ukraine's Kherson region. This video on your screens here shows destroyed armored vehicles and tanks. And Russian assault on Ukraine continues, and it is the capital city, Kiev, that is currently under attack. Russia has stepped up its offensive on Kiev. These images on your screens here are of residential blocks inside Kiev, which was bombed. Huge plumes of smoke were seen coming out of that building.
Fire tenders are working to...
And Russian missiles have hit residential buildings in the center of Ukrainian Kiev, now painting a totally devastating picture of buildings and homes that have been collapsed. Videos there shows residential complexes being charred after missile attacks. And it's raining missiles and airstrikes even in the second day, the second largest city there on the 22nd day of this war in Ukraine. These visuals are coming in of the aftermath of airstrikes at night in Kharkiv. Fire erupts as airstrikes rain in the city. Horror arrives in Ukraine cities as Russia continues to up its assault. And an absolutely heart-wrenching event. The image on your screens here is that of the Russian army tanks who are having fun by shelling residential complexes in the small city of Volnovakha in Ukraine. And amid non-stop heavy shelling, Russian invaders destroy the city of Velika Dimerka, leaving it in complete ruins. Shelling continued in that region. Horror of shelling, a bus stop where Ukrainian civilians are staying, is now captured on the cameras that you see. The Russian assault continues to become uglier, with now residential complexes becoming a main target of missile attacks. This comes on your screens. The aftermath of destruction that was caused by heavy shelling inside the city, tearing everything apart, while relief works is being currently carried out. And large plumes of smoke emerged from a site of Chuguev in Ukrainian city Kharkiv, where rockets were launched by Russian occupiers, destroying everything that came its way. And more Russian troops were called to launch a strong offensive against the peaceful rally in Melitopol city, as images capture large numbers of soldiers present at that site, aiming to disperse protesting Ukrainians. And as the Russia assault intensifies, even on day 20 of that war, drone footage here captures the heavy destruction that was caused to buildings, schools and residential complexes after being shelled non-stop in the city of Mariupol. And devastating visuals of destruction all around in the city of Donetsk on your screens here. This is the aftermath of continuous shelling and bombing by Russian troops, launching an aggressive offensive even as war enters day 22. And Russian airstrikes continue to rock Ukraine. Visuals on your screens here are of Kurenivka area in capital city of Kiev, where a Russian missile has hit a residential area. And Russian troops attack Antonov aviation industry, a plant right in the capital city, a historic aviation establishment in Kiev. Heavy shelling has caused massive fire to the plant. You can see now plumes of smoke coming out from that plant. Russian soldiers also attacked a high-rise building along with the plant, killing at least 2 people in those attacks.